Lesson 4. Behaviour of traffic participants. Perceptions and reactions. In this lesson, you will learn a little bit more about the basic psychological factors that impact driving, as well as about perception and reaction. Safe driving doesn't depend only on your car driving skills, but also on the way you notice and assess the road conditions. The perception of the road conditions depends mainly on what you observe. That's why it is important that you have good eyesight. Can you estimate the outcome in this situation? You can expect that the child will run out onto the road, passing between the vehicles on your right side, in order to take the ball. In this situation, the child may not pay attention to the traffic, and this is why you must slow down and pay attention to the outcome of the situation. Time period of the reaction is the time that passes between the time you notice a dangerous situation on the road and the moment when you react to that danger. For example, braking, turning the steering wheel, etc. The reaction period is not always the same. It can last from a split second to a few seconds, depending on the driver's attention, experience, driving capabilities, etc. It is important that you react in a correct and safe way, never in panic, as that can cause that you do not react well. Even though all the details of the traffic situation are noticeable using your eyesight or other senses, the driver reacts only on a small part of it, depending on what they have directed their attention onto. It is possible to notice and to react to 2 to 3 details, signs or signals indicating a danger in a second. This is why it is necessary to adjust the driving speed to the limitation of perception and reaction. During driving, you must avoid staring in the one direction for longer periods of time, because this way you focus on only a small part of the traffic situation. In this situation, you are driving at a speed of 40 km per hour. How will you continue? Here you must brake strongly and pay attention to the cyclist and pedestrian on your left side. In this situation, you do not have to pay attention to the children in front of you or at the intersection in the distance, but to the traffic sign on your left side, which prohibits further traffic for motor vehicles. You must stop, turn around, and return in order to find another road. Things or events that are particularly unusual and interesting can attract your attention while driving, so that you overlook some important details. This is why when you are driving you must be ready to timely react. When driving, you must always pay attention to the details that can impact on safety in order to be able to predict the developing situation and to adequately react. Using a mobile phone without a hands-free device is not allowed while driving. Using a mobile phone will always divert your attention from the traffic situation so that your reaction period is extended. Telephone calls can divert your attention so that you unconsciously change speed or movement and position of the vehicle on the road, especially if it is an uncomfortable or disturbing conversation. In case you must use your mobile telephone while driving, you should use a hands-free device. But it is best to, unless you must, not use your mobile phone at all while driving. Activities that distract you while driving include looking for things in the glove box, looking at a map, changing CDs, eating or talking with other passengers. Using electronic devices such as GPS or laptop will also divert your attention from the road. Carrying out these activities when driving can be against the law. Lack of attention when driving is the main cause of a third of all traffic accidents. Third of the time spent at the steering wheel, we carry out activities that needlessly take away our attention. Passengers in the vehicle, especially restless small children or animals, can also interfere with your attention. Mental state, such as anger, sadness, or worries, also often impact the driver's attention. The direction in which we are looking and the direction of movement. While driving, do not focus your attention on things that you are trying to avoid. In this case, do not look at the tree. Instead, with your eyesight, follow the right curb on the road because you are turning right, and while turning, look straight ahead. There is a connection between the direction in which we are looking and the muscle reaction, which makes us direct the vehicle in the direction in which we are looking. On one side, this tendency helps you stay on course in the desired direction, while on the other side, it can have a counter effect. If you are concentrating on the things that you are trying to avoid, you'll want to drive directly towards them. Therefore, you should look away from the things that you are trying to avoid. On wide, long roads, look as far ahead as possible. When turning on a road without a middle lane, keep your eyesight on the inner curb of the road, while in a bend, look straight. When turning left on a road with a middle line, keep your eyesight on the middle line. When turning at an intersection, do not follow with your eyesight other traffic participants longer than necessary. Straight after you assess the traffic situation, focus your attention on the direction you are driving in. In this situation, look straight with smaller glances left and right in order to maintain the desired direction. If you only look at the posts on the right side, you will tend to turn towards them. If you only look at the posts on the left side, you will tend to turn towards them. Maintain the desired driving direction by looking in that direction. Avoid looking at things that you wish to avoid. Estimating speed and distance. The human eye is capable of correctly estimating distance that is less than 50 meters. Distances greater than 50 meters are often overestimated, i.e., we perceive them longer than they actually are. The perception of the distance mainly depends on the temporary visible information on perspective and the size of the object in front of us. For example, it may seem that some smaller vehicle is further away than it really is because of its size. Your experience of the distance changes when the visibility has been reduced. Your perception of the speed that you are moving at depends on the level of noise and vibration in the vehicle, as well as on the other objects on the side of the road, such as houses and trees and the line along the road. In case that there are no objects along the road, you will be under the impression that you are driving at a speed that is slower than the speed that you are actually driving at. You will have such perception of the speed if you are driving in a vehicle that is quiet and has good shock absorbers. It can also happen that you poorly estimate your movement speed when getting off a motorway when you have been driving for a long time and have to reduce speed at exit. Then you have the impression that the speed was much slower than the real movement speed. We can pretty realistically estimate the speed of up to 50 km per hour, while speed above 50 km per hour is often underestimated, i.e., at first glance, it appears lower than it actually is. Most people cannot properly assess the speed of a vehicle that is 200 meters away from them. In this situation, it is hard to estimate the movement speed of vehicles that are coming towards us. If you are unsure whether you should begin overtaking or not, it is best to wait and let that vehicle pass.
Checkpoint. Take a pencil and a piece of paper. You are driving at the speed of 40 km per hour. How will you continue? I will continue driving at the same speed. I will apply the brakes. I will pay special attention to the pedestrian. I will pay special attention to the bicycle.
Here you must brake strongly and pay attention to the cyclist and pedestrian on your left side. Legislative provisions on the capability of controlling a motor vehicle. In this part, you will learn about the basic legislative provisions in regards to driving under the influence of alcohol, anesthetics, narcotics, fatigue, illness, and similar. Alcohol. The ability of perception and reaction is worsened even when consuming smaller amounts of alcohol. Even though the blood alcohol percentage is low, it can significantly hinder the correct and fast reaction in difficult and unexpected situations. You should leave the car at home if you are going out and are planning to consume alcohol, or make sure you decide how much you will drink in advance in order to not cross the allowed limit. It is against the law to drive if the blood alcohol level is higher than 0.5 BAC or above 0.2 milligrams per litre of breath. It is also unlawful to drive in case you have a blood alcohol level under 0.5 BAC, but you've been involved in a car accident or you are driving in a way that is not safe. If the blood alcohol level is between 0.5 and 2.0 BAC, and if that is your first offence, you will pay a fine. In case the blood alcohol content is higher than 2 BAC, a prison sentence will be imposed. If the blood alcohol content is greater than 0.5 and lower than 1.2 BAC, and this is your first offence, your driver's license will be temporarily confiscated and you will need to undertake the theory and practical exam. In case you have been holding driver's license for less than 3 years, it will be confiscated. In this situation, you will need to pass 8 theory and 8 practical classes at a driving school and to pass a theory and practical exam again. Either way, you must redo and pass the AT course on the effect of alcohol. In case you have a high level of blood alcohol content, you will have your driver's license unconditionally removed from you. In that case, you will be deprived the right to operate a motor vehicle, and you may not undertake a new theory and practical exam for a specified period of time. Fines for driving in a drunken state are more rigorous in case you have earlier had offences of this kind. It is prohibited to provide your vehicle for someone to use it who is in a drunken state. The police have the right to stop you while you are driving and to request from you to undertake an alcohol test. Drugs. If you mix alcohol and medications, it will affect your driving capabilities and increase the risk of a car accident. The effect of consuming alcohol and medications at the same time is unpredictable, while the risk of a traffic accident is then significantly increased. It is against the law to drive or to try to drive after you have taken any type of substance that has effect on your mental state, as doing so you become a threat to the safety in traffic. If you take medications that can have an effect on your mental state without a doctor's prescription or in any other way that is not described in the label, you will be charged as if you were driving under the influence of drugs. If it is your first offence to be driving under the influence of drugs, your license will be unconditionally confiscated for an unlimited period of time. It is equal to driving with blood alcohol content of 1.21 BAC. Next time, the charges will be tougher. It is prohibited to give your vehicle to someone who is under the influence of drugs. The police always have the right to carry out tests on saliva, sweat, or eyes. You are not allowed to drive or attempt to drive if you are not in the condition to do so in a safe way. For example, in case you are sick, tired, or under the influence of medications or tranquilizers. Your perception and reaction capabilities are weakened if you are ill or under sedatives, using sleeping pills, strong cough medications, painkillers, or medications for seasonal flu, etc. Negative influence of medications is increased if alcohol is consumed while the medication is in effect. Medications that can reduce your perception and reaction are marked by a red triangle. Perception and reaction capabilities are reduced under the influence of physical or mental fatigue or stress. Avoid driving if you are sleepy or if you are returning home from work after an extremely exhausting day. The drivers often overrate their own capabilities and drive longer distances without a stop at times when they are usually resting, relaxing, or sleeping. It is prohibited to give your car for someone else to use if that person is ill, tired, or under the influence of medications or drugs and is therefore not in the condition to drive in a completely safe way. Judging the behavior of other traffic participants. Many traffic accidents that occur have some of the following participants. A. Pedestrians aged 5 to 10. B. Cyclists aged 5 to 10. C. Scooter riders aged 15 to 19. D. Motorcyclists aged 18 to 22. E. Drivers aged 18 to 24. F. Older pedestrians and cyclists aged 70 and over. Many accidents can be explained by the fact that the traffic participants, when they reach a particular age, are not in the condition to timely react, and as a result they present a danger in traffic. Many accidents occur due to insufficient experience of the beginner drivers. Children younger than 5 to 6 years have still not developed sense of traffic and safe movement in traffic. At first glance, they may be behaving safely, but they are still not reliable because they cannot control unpredictable impulses, for example, to run across the street. They cannot assess risky situations in traffic and their walk is not secure, which means that they can easily trample over something and fall when walking or running. Use the car horn carefully in order not to cause a panicky reaction. Younger children, aged 6 to 10, are not careful enough. When they are required to stop, for example, at a pedestrian crossing and at a traffic lights, they often do not do that. They also often do not pay attention to the traffic and can be impulsive. They need more time to observe the traffic situation and they poorly estimate the distance and vehicle's moving speed. Frequent participants of traffic accidents are children on bikes aged between 10 and 15, and sometimes even younger children aged between 5 and 6. The cause of these accidents is insufficient experience and sense of traffic safety, i.e., keeping a balance, controlling and braking. Children have the need to test their capabilities and their skills of controlling a bicycle through play. In this situation, you must brake and keep a safe distance from the child on the bicycle. Even though young drivers have the best capabilities of perception and reaction, they are more susceptible to accidents than other traffic participants due to their lack of experience and immature behavior. Lack of experience is especially noticeable when adjusting the speed to the conditions and when estimating their own capabilities and capabilities of other traffic participants. Some young drivers use the vehicle to test their own capabilities and drive completely irresponsibly, and by doing so, put themselves and others into a dangerous situation. All the traffic participants often have impaired eyesight or hearing and observe and react slower. Many older people think that the pedestrian crossing is a particularly safe place and often don't even take a look left and right when crossing the road. Some older people cross the street at an intersection completely sure that the green light is indicated for them and often don't even take a look left and right when crossing the road. Some easily get scared of a vehicle that passes quickly. Use your horn carefully as it can easily make them panicky.
Checkpoint. Take a pencil and a piece of paper. In which situation would you suffer legal consequences for driving under the influence of alcohol? If I drive unsafely and my blood alcohol content is 0.40 BAC. If I drive safely and my blood alcohol content is 0.50 BAC. If I drive safely and my blood alcohol content is 0.51 BAC. If I drive safely and my blood alcohol content is 0.80 BAC.
It is against the law to drive if the blood alcohol level is higher than 0.5 BAC or above 0.2 milligrams per litre of breath. It is also unlawful to drive in case you have a blood alcohol level under 0.5 BAC, but you've been involved in a car accident or you are driving in a way that is not safe. You must learn to assess the traffic participants according to their age, their intention, and their level of caution in different situations. Identify the behavior that most leads to accidents and predict the possibility of other traffic participants' mistakes and how to correctly react to them. You can estimate the age of other traffic participants based on their height, color and length of hair, position of their body, the way they walk, clothes and objects such as toys, walking stick and similar. The intention of some traffic participants can be noticed depending on what they are looking at, their head movements and other gestures that signalize what their attention is focused on. Lack of attention can be recognized by what they are doing, for example, if they are using their mobile phone. In this situation, what is the cyclist intending to do? The cyclist wants to turn left into the intersection. Assess the traffic participants according to their gestures that signalize what their attention is focused on. Traffic participants that have problems with eyesight you will recognize due to their white cane or by particular sign for blind and people with impaired vision. You must recognize the following possible dangers on the road and correctly react to them. Unpredictable behavior of small children when you have to reduce your speed to minimum in order to be ready to brake. Small children can suddenly run out onto the road, and that's why you must be careful, especially at intersections and in residential zones, as well as when a group of children is playing together or walking together. In this situation, the children are stepping onto the road but not paying attention to the traffic. You must stop and let them cross the street. Children on bicycles are not careful, especially when riding straight down the street. Often they do not obey the right-of-way rule at intersections and when turning left or when turning onto a parking. Small children can suddenly run out onto the road between parked vehicles. In this situation, you must reduce the speed and stop in order to wait for the child to cross the street. Young drivers usually make the mistake when turning left in an intersection. Older pedestrians present a possible danger, especially when they cross the road at straight sections and at intersections without a pedestrian crossing or traffic lights. In this situation, adjust the speed so that you can timely brake. Always respect other traffic participants in order to ensure safe flow of traffic. Display a positive attitude and assist other traffic participants even when they make a mistake. Be careful and patient in case there are roadworks if you have to wait for an ambulance to pass or other vehicles with a siren. Show understanding for traffic participants that have a problem to find the road or who are displaying insufficient driving routine. Also, you should be tolerant to the drivers who are in a hurry and wish to pass faster than you or are driving a lot slower than you. Show understanding for the elderly who are much more careful in traffic and react slower. Do not allow other drivers' mistakes in traffic to make you mad to the point that you behave inappropriately. Always make sure that you predict the possible development of traffic situation as well as possible risks and dangers on the road. Be cautious and assist other drivers even though they make a mistake. Help the driver that is having trouble to find the right road. For example, assisting him by allowing him to change lane or their position on the road. Allow sufficient room to large vehicles that are carrying out a particular maneuver, such as turning, driving in reverse or similar. Keep a distance from the vehicle in front of you if you notice that the driver of the vehicle in front of you is inexperienced. Drive slowly next to roadworks, especially if the workers are on the road or in the vicinity, and keep an adequate distance. Always make sufficient room and give way to the vehicles with a turned-on flashing siren. You are not allowed to use your horn in case the vehicle in front of you is driving slowly. You are also not allowed to drive too closely to it. What is the driver of the red car planning to do? The red car is starting up without an indicator. That is why you need to be ready to brake. Never direct any indecent words or indecent gestures to another traffic participant. Always be ready to timely react and possibly lean your foot on the brake in case the situation causes for it. What will you do in this situation? You are driving at a speed of 40 to 45 kilometers per hour. There are no other vehicles behind you. Here you must brake and move the vehicle towards the left in the lane. Children are smiling at you. Thank you for looking after us. Factors that impact the traffic participants' behaviors are self-control, lifestyle, attitude, gender, age, etc. If the driver is emotionally disturbed due to worries, anger, or sadness, the risk of an accident is greatly increased. It is very important that the driver is in the state to analyze and predict the outcome of the traffic situation. This way, the driver is contributing to a greater safety in traffic. For example, in case you are not keeping an adequate distance from the vehicle in front of you, you are increasing the risk of an accident and the consequence can be fatal. In this situation, you may think that there is a motorcycle coming from the opposite direction. However, it is a car that has one faulty headlight. When the driver reaches a particular experience and driving skills, they often tend to undermine the risks on the road due to their overconfidence. This characteristic is called ignoring the risk. For example, a driver that does not adjust their speed in a situation where there's poor visibility on the road or the road may be slippery, he or she is ignoring the risk. You may never blindly follow the vehicle in front of you without previously assessing the situation or danger on the road.
Checkpoint. Take a pencil and a piece of paper. You are driving at the speed of 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. There are no vehicles behind you. How will you continue? I will continue driving at the same speed of 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. I will move my foot onto the brake. I will move toward the middle of the road. I will use the horn to warn the pedestrians.
Here you must brake and move the vehicle towards the left in the lane. Children are smiling at you. Thank you for looking after us.